My awesome grandpa just handed down this radial arm drill press, and it needs a new spot in the shop. For this drill press stand, I'm using a glue-up top, 2x4s for the frame, and 3/4 inch plywood with locking castors for the bottom. To see all the cuts and step-by-step directions, check out the description below. I'll also add a link to how I did the glue-up top for this build. After making all the cuts, I set my pocket hole jig to 1.5 inches and drilled pocket holes in all the ends of the 15-inch 2x4s. Then I adjusted the jig to 1.25 inches and drilled 2 pocket holes on one edge of each of the 2x4s that will be used for the top of the frame. These holes will be used to connect the frame to the glue-up top. The top is 1.5 inches thick, but I wanted to make sure that the screws didn't go through to the top. Next, I glued, clamped, and fastened the 2 sides of the frame together. Then I attached the front and the back 2x4s. These little square jigs come in handy for propping things up. I'm using 1 3/4 inch wood screws to attach the 3/4 inch plywood bottom, and then I attached locking castors. Here I'm lining up where to drill holes in the top for the bolts that will secure the drill to the stand. By the way, this is the christening of the new to me drill press, and it works great. All that's left is attaching the top. How am I going to add glue this way? Nope, that doesn't work. There we go, much better. I was tempted to take it for a ride, but I remembered I'm over 40 now. I do want to add some drawers to this drill press in the future, but for now, this stand will do. I hope you like the build. Don't forget to like and subscribe.